Hi, and welcome to this presentation about QR codes, personal evangelism using QR codes. Now we'll be looking at QR codes, and we'll hopefully, maybe I can get you some inspiration, some ideas of how to use them and how to use them for evangelism. You can see this thing here, that's what we are talking about, and the information that's contained in that little thing, in that little square, is www.radioeden.com. Okay, why QR codes and why personal evangelism if you are Christian? Otherwise, I would imagine you would not go to this YouTube video. Jesus has told us before he sent it into heaven, go into all the world and preach the gospel to all creation. So that's what we are charged with, and that was one of the last commands he has given us. So in other words, we have to go out there, let people know there's a way for them to be reconciled to God, and that this way is Jesus Christ. So we need to find ways to get this message and to convey this message to the people out there. And obviously, there's a whole Bible, and there's a lot of encouragement, a lot of great truth in the Bible, which we need to get out there somehow. And QR codes will not be obviously the definitive answer, but they might help to possibly reach out to people who otherwise might not have stumbled over us. First of all, what are QR codes? Where do they come from? Just follow the mouse. QR code stands for quick response, and they were used originally in the Japanese automotive industry for stock control. Why? Because you can store a lot of characters in these codes, and a lot of information can be sort of crammed into them, and that makes them ideal and very flexible to truck stock. The idea is that you can store a lot more data in a QR code than you can in a barcode. And barcodes, I'm sure you've seen them on various products. This is what they look like, and this barcode represents www.radioeden.com. But again, very limited, these codes, 60 characters or something. I tried to scan this with my smartphone, and it couldn't decipher it, whereas this one wasn't a problem at all. So with less than a second, the URL, which again is www.radioeden.com, came up on that one. Okay, QR codes can store up to 7,000 characters. Elsewhere, I haven't tried it out. I've stored quite a lot on QR codes whilst I was experimenting with them. The other figure I read was 4,000 and a bit, so somewhere between 4,000 and 7,000 characters. There's a problem though. The more characters you store into a code, the longer it takes for a scanner to read the code. So you have to bear in mind, people are unlikely to stand in front of a code with a camera for more than a couple of seconds until they think that something is wrong and they walk away. So I guess I would say maybe 3 seconds maximum. So try it out with your phone, see how long it takes to scan it in. And if it takes more than 3, 4, 5 seconds, and then try and shorten the text to make it more palatable for the smartphones out there. Most smartphones these days come with QR scanners ready installed, so that's a big bonus as well. And I think it's a little bit of a generational thing. When I look around, a lot of young people, sort of teenagers up to sort of mid-20s, a smartphone comes as an absolute necessity. When I look at older folks, quite interesting. Very often you just find very simple, basic, elementary phones, and they don't want all this touch type stuff, and they prefer the more traditional phones, mobile phones. Again, as I said before, it's not the universal answer to spread the gospel, but it's a way to evangelize and to let people know that there is a God out there, and that they can enter into a relationship with him. And why not use QR codes and get people's attention that way? Potential of QR codes, short gospel message, maybe up to 60, 100 words. Try it out, see how far you can get. I've created a big QR code for the back of my car, so I left it in there. If anybody walks by, they can flip out their phone and see whether they can code it in and they can scan it in. And if they do, they get like a short explanation what the gospel is all about. But it fits in within this category of between 60 and 100 words. And its problem is it takes about 10 seconds to scan it in, so I'm not quite sure how effective it is. Anyway, it's up to you to experiment with this. The talk is all about getting you going and using this technology. A lot of people have smartphones, which I mentioned before, and the capability of reading codes. Codes are in use all over and are an integral part of advertising these days. So a lot of marketing campaigns, they use these codes in trying to get people deeper into their product and getting them more enticed by giving them a chance to go to a website to learn more about it, and so on. Now, the last thing is people are curious by nature. So if you take a QR code and you just stick it somewhere, anywhere in nature, people feel the urge to just try and find out what's in this code. And might be an idea. Next time you go on a walk, you see a tree or something, just stick a few codes up and see whether people respond to it. Couple of examples here of how codes are used these days. I try to scan them in. I think most of them are okay. It's just samples I picked up from the internet. Let me just go through them. We've got t-shirts. So you can go to a couple of companies who print anything on t-shirts. If you scan in, which code is it? I'm not quite sure which one it is. I think it's a YouTube code. That's an explanation about smart codes. And it's probably that one here. I'm not sure. Anyway, one of these codes, give it a go and scan them in if you've got a smartphone. And there's actually a company who will print QR codes on t-shirts. There are other companies as well, like Vistaprint and others. You can submit an image and they will print it on there. I tried to scan this code. My phone wouldn't pick it up. So I don't know whether this code has been deliberately changed or altered so that it cannot be scanned because it was on the internet for advertising, or it's just a problem with the t-shirt when it sort of crumples up a bit that you can't read it. But it's something maybe to try and find out. Why not walk around with a t-shirt, put your message on there, maybe down here you can see scan me, and maybe people do it, maybe people don't do it, but you can give essential information away. Now, as I mentioned before, if you've got a simple URL, for example, this one is just a simple URL, and you see this stated down here, it's m.state.gov, and it takes less than a second to scan this in. It's really, really fast. And again, I tried to scan this one, and I couldn't decipher anything, but it might just be the way the photo is being taken, and it looks that there is a lot of information embedded into this code here. That one actually did scan in straight away. Other possibilities of functions you might have for QR codes is tagging dogs. Yeah, so you can put the address on there, the name of the dog, a lot of information. So if people find the dog, they can just take a normal Android phone or iPhone, scan in the code, and they know the information about the dog. So again, very interesting uses you can have with that. Why not have like an air balloon, make it quite interesting, stick a couple of QR codes on there, and when it comes down, let people decipher what is on there. What else have we got? We have got codes here, codes there. This is just for an arts exhibition. A YouTube film. So if you scan this code, and it'll actually talk about QR codes. But again, YouTube, you've got this very long URLs with lots of strange letters which are impossible to remember. You may as well just stick them in a QR code, stick something like YouTube on top of it so people know what it's all about and how this is supposed to work, and that it's going to take them to YouTube. And then you can have your message on YouTube as well and talk to people about it. Here we've got gravestone. I've noticed last time when I went to Germany, I went to a graveyard, and one thing I noticed that over the years people they almost try to tell a story on the gravestone, so they put a lot more information about the person who was lying there. And again, in this instance, I put a QR code on there. It might just be a web link, or it might be information about the person, a little bit of who the person was. So you can see the versatility you may have with these codes, where you can just put them anywhere. This is from CNN. It's just a list of URLs to donate money. Just an example. So you can use it for fundraising as well. What else have we got? This is a glass of lager. You can scan the code in. That actually works, and it goes, I think it's a parked URL. So you can put your message on there. When I'm kind of thinking about this, in a way I'm getting excited, because why not donate glasses in a pub or somewhere and just put the gospel message on there? So if they accept them, people might scan it in, and they might hear the truth for the first time in their lives. So why not? There are companies who do this, who print QR codes on items such as mugs or glasses or other things. Just look for them on the internet and you will find them. Another QR code here, so you can hear something. Obviously, you can have a URL where you've got some voice or some text. This is about waste management, so advertising on the back of a lorry. So if you're behind the lorry, you can just take out your phone, scan it, which I understand is illegal in the UK. But if you're the passenger, you can do it legally. If you're the driver, obviously you can't. And you find some art examples as well. So the point I'm trying to make here, there are loads of opportunities to use QR codes and to embed the message of the gospel in there. Okay, let's go to the next page. A few more examples here. We've got a business card up here, so you've got a QR code in there. We've got an invitation. You are invited. And then there's some information of where it is. You might print it on as well, but if people don't carry the card around, they always tend to carry their phone around. So by scanning it in, they can get all the coordinates, possibly even link it up with GPS on the phone and find the way to the venue. This card here just says Happy Valentine's Day. You can scan it in and from this presentation, and it'll actually just say that. Just a unique way of doing this. You get CDs where you can, if you produce some CDs with music, talks or whatever, you can stick a QR code on there and possibly leave information on there where people can buy the next CD or another copy. Cars, you can see this here, advertising on cars. This is just for BBC. If you pull it in, it's just a URL for BBC programs. And this is the website, and I remember now, it's not on the previous slide, it's on this slide. It's a website where you get all sorts of products and goodies, anything to do with QR codes. So might be worthwhile to check it out. Just to go through this, we talked about business cards, we talked about invitations, we talked about websites and YouTube links. Again, if you've got events, you can use this to invite people for particular events in your church. You can stick little messages on there, micro messages, maybe some encouragement. Maybe you've got a really exciting scripture which has touched you and you want to share it with your brothers and sisters in your church. Why not use QR codes and stick it in there and just pass them on? You can do appeals, you can do tags for items, simply dissemination of information. Maybe if you've got events coming up, you've got a calendar of events, you can stick them into a QR code, people scan them, and it's on their phone. And they can store it on their phone, and whenever they need it, they can call off the information. Directions, you can put the coordinates in for GPS, and people can find you, or the postcode, or the zip code, or whatever it may be. Advertising for anything, really. We've looked at gravestones, and we've looked at marketing as well. I think it's a fantastic opportunity to use it, and I would suggest that we as Christians need to use it as well to spread the gospel. Everybody else is using it. We need to be in there and let people know that Jesus loved them, that Jesus has died for them, and that his blood was shed for their sins, so that they can have fellowship with God, so that they can enter into a relationship with God, with the living God. So it's very important. Okay, a few websites here, and I'll do a few. I'll show you how to do the QR codes for real, and I'll do this whilst you're watching. First website is qrstuff.com. Pretty much everything in there. I'm going to go there in a minute. We've got barcodesinc.com, QR code kbar.com, and then whatisaQRcode.co.uk, and then www.hopeforall.co.uk. As I mentioned before, it's sometimes easier to just put a short message in your QR code, maybe just a URL, and then put the more detailed, the more wordy message on the website you create. And again, websites, you can create them freely. There are plenty of resources on the web where you can set up something for next to nothing. Okay, I think that's the presentation so far. Let me just go to some websites. Okay, let me show you the website I've created. QRstuff.com. Let's go there. And that is the website, yeah. Okay, you can see how this website works. So this is QRstuff.com, and I'm gonna show you another website which I created, and then we can create a QR code, and I can show you how this works. Okay. Right. Just gonna go to the next step. The website is called www. You can only see, you can't see all of the page, I just realized, but should be okay. So it's www.hope and then number 4 all.co.uk. And it doesn't work. Let me just try and minimize the website and put it just so that you can see this. Okay, here we go. hopeforall.co.uk. Just a very simple website, nothing spectacular, nothing huge. What I found though is when you create websites and you create them, and I still need to work on this one, you create them for mobile phones, you see this bit here, that's about the right width. This sentence here, which goes all the way across, is not, but I think the auto formatting kicks in and it tries to do it. But what you need to do is try to keep this short and snappy, and probably have everything moved to the very left, or everything moved into a frame in the middle. So it's a little bit of an explanation. Then we've got the QR code there, and then the gospel message starts. We've got the narrow gate and we've got the wide gate. If you click on the narrow gate, is it working? Okay, finding the way to heaven, yeah, and just a couple of YouTube videos of guys who are talking about their experience, how to get into heaven, and also it's a little window here, which tells you what happens if you don't come to Christ, and there are a couple of testimonies of people who have gone to hell and have come back to tell the tale. So-called near-death experiences. Very interesting stuff. Again, it needs a little bit of work to try and optimize it a bit more for mobile phones. It's not quite right yet, but it's just to give you an idea of what you can do. So let's go back to QR codes and create a code which will let people go to this website. Okay, let me just go back here. And here we are. This is our website. Let me just drag this down. Yeah. Okay. All I need to do now here is type in www.qrcode. Sorry, hopeforall.com.uk. And ideally, when you put the URL in, put http:// and you can see that the code on this side here is changing. So that's the code. A couple of things I can do. I can download the code from here, and you can see the format as well. Right, what are we going to do? We're going to download it. I'm just going to open it. And we've got the code here, yeah. Let's print it out. And you can hear the printer in the background. Okay, so that's a QR code. You can do other things as well. As one thing I've done it is I've just copied this, put it into MS Paint, and I don't want to do this. And I'm just looking at this code. It comes out really, really big. So I'm not quite sure whether it works, but I'm just going to test it. Okay, I've got the code here. Let me just print it out a bit smaller as well. Right. Okay, that's pretty much what it's put on the page. It's actually bigger than that. We can have other printouts as well. Let me just check this. Output type 4. And you can see the options you've got here. Yeah? So you can create loads of them. Yeah. Okay, let me just print a whole sheet of them. It comes down as a PDF file, as you can see. And you can see all those little codes here. And I'm just going to print them out as well. I don't want to do this. What's happening? Is it not working? Computer is struggling a little bit. Okay, I'm just going to print it out. And voila, print. One thing we've done is to sort of try and work with these codes is we have laminated them and then cut them out, and it gives them a little bit of weatherproofing. So if you leave some of these codes outside, you can weatherproof them in that way. Okay, and I'm going to come to the next stage to just show you how to deal with these codes. I'm just going to show you those two pieces in a moment, and I need to cut one out, otherwise the camera gets a bit nervous when there are too many of them. Okay, I'm just going to cut one of these out, which you can't see, but you can see them in a minute. So, okay, that's all done. I've cut them, and I don't want to do the color performance. Okay, quickly go back to qrstuff.com. Let me just go to the previous one. You can, for example, put some plain text in there, and you can type anything in here, and it all comes into a QR code. Yeah. So, for example, let me put him in the beginning. Okay. It's just the first verse from the Gospel of John. And one of the things you can see is as I'm typing the text in here, this code becomes sort of, these squares become smaller and smaller and smaller and more complex. And you will find that it takes a lot longer for the phone to scan everything in. Okay, I'm now going to show you what these codes look like. And let's see whether we can... just going to try my phone to see whether I can scan them in. The first one doesn't work because I don't think it's printed completely. Let's try the little one. Yeah. That works very well. Let me just try and get rid of this one. Okay. Right, let's put the camera. So we've got the camera, which is here. And you should be able to see the code. It's not very clear. That's the small QR code. And the other one which I printed out, you can see this here, is very, very big. It actually does work, but I think the problem you can see at the printout is that these edges are not there and it's not a full square. And I would have to mess about with the printing to try and make it work. I've printed codes on an A4 page and left them in the back of the car with loads and loads of text on it. And it does work. It just takes about 5, 10, 15 seconds for it to scan in. Okay, let me just show you the phone. I'm not sure how well you can see this. I'm holding my little camera up. Okay. And you can't see it very well. It's probably too shiny. Let me see whether I can change the amount of illumination a little bit, so it's a little bit more pleasant on the eye for you. I'm not quite sure. It's a bit darker now, but anyway, we'll see. So what I'm doing now is I'm going into a program which is called Neo Reader, and you can download it. I think it's open source. I'm not sure about this. And just go to an app store and you get it. Now this is just a camera, and I don't know whether you can see this here, and you probably can't. Let me try to go a little bit closer with the camera. You can see it now, yeah. It comes up with hopeforall.co.uk, and I'm just going to click on Open in Browser. I'm going to click on Chrome, and the website is there, yeah. You can see it on the phone. Hopeforall.co.uk, and you've seen all these things before. Yeah, and then you've got the gospel message a little bit further down. Anyway, just something for you to chew about. It's very simple to use. I'm sure you can be creative with this and create a lot of interesting things and experiment with them. Essentially, all you need is, just to show you the page which I've printed out. This is the page. Yeah, loads of QR codes on there. And I've just cut it out from the corner there. And just imagine I laminate this thing, create a website, put the gospel message on there, make it interesting, be creative, then create these QR codes and just leave them wherever you go. Just put them, if you go to a telephone box, leave them there. If you go into nature, pin one somewhere wherever you can, and just let people use them. If you laminate them, they'll be weatherproof and they'll hold a long time. Stick them on your car. I mean, that's perfectly legal. You can do this. So wherever you go, if people are interested, they can scan them in and try and find out more about what the gospel is all about. Okay, I'm going to leave it at that. Thank you for watching. I hope that this information is helpful, and maybe I can inspire you a little bit to to work with these QR codes and to use them to spread the word. God bless, and bye-bye. Tune into Radio Eden, tune into radioeden.tv, and don't forget about our audio channel as well. If you go to the website www.radioeden.com, you can listen to radio, Christian radio, and would be great to hear from you as well. Okay, God bless and bye-bye from Michael here at Radio Eden.